Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this latest installment of the Hometown Football League. I'm Big Polly. Today, we're doing something a little different. We're going to recap four of what we have been doing, what we've been calling the unplugged games, these first 9 weeks of the HTFL season. We are going to play these games automatically, show you the box scores, and then we're going to play 6 games this next week and 6 the following week, and that will be week 10. And we'll be doing this the rest of the season unless when we have two losing teams playing each other, it is either a Monday night game or a game with playoff ramifications. So from now on, the games with both teams having losing records are not going to be televised, but instead we are going to summarize them at the start of each week. Came up with a little graphic for you to show you where we are after the week 9. Can't spit out my words today. And show you how the playoff projections look, and we'll be doing this on the recap show every week for the next 8 weeks. When we start a new week, we'll be doing a recap show. So actually, it'll be more like every other week. In the North, when you combine the Upper North and the Lower North divisions, here's what we have. We have Cleveland leading the way. They are the number 1 seed based on point differential. Minnesota and Green Bay are 2 and 3. Minnesota has the head-to-head tiebreaker right now. And Cincinnati leads Baltimore in the battle for the 4th seed based on a head-to-head win in week number 1. In the combined Eastern Conference, when you combine the Upper East and the Lower East together, we have New York, Washington, St. Louis, and New England, your top 4. New York leading on point differential. New York and Washington do not play each other, so if they wind up with a tied record, it comes down to points scored, subtracting points against. St. Louis at 5 and 3 right now. They lead in the race for the number 3 slot. New England and Dallas are tied for the 4th seed, but New England beat Dallas earlier in the season, so right now they would get that slot. In the Southern Conference, when you combine the Upper and Lower South, we have Carolina leading at 6 and 2. We have New Orleans at 5 and 3. Houston is at 4 and 4. And we have a 3-way battle for the 4th spot, Tennessee, Atlanta, and Indianapolis. Tennessee would get the nod at 3 and 5 to make the 4th seed based on head-to-head wins over Atlanta and Indianapolis right now. Out west, you have San Francisco, the 1 seed, San Diego, the 2 seed, Kansas City, 3, and Los Angeles, 4. San Francisco, 6 and 2. San Diego is 5 and 3, but because they are leading the lower West division right now, they would get that 2 seed. Kansas City, 6 and 2. And would get seed number 3. Then you have Denver and Los Angeles fighting it out for the 4th slot. LA has that advantage right now based on point differential. They have a +8 point differential right now, net points, and Denver has a -1. So that's where we stand right now as we show you the game screen. And we will tell you the next 3 games we will be doing before this recap show concludes. So let's get to business here. And we are going to play. I'm going to set all the home teams to human control for the next week. And then we are going to play 4 games automatically from week number 10, and we're going to show you the results right here and right now, as Fat Boy Slim once sang. Okay. Arizona and Philadelphia will be the first game we look at. And your winner is Philadelphia, 30-10. And we will call up the box score here. And this looked like no contest. Philadelphia got the last 17 points of the game to win. Donovan McNabb had a couple of touchdown passes. McCoy caught a pass and ran a pass in. David Akers kicked 3 field goals. Let's look at the team stats, yeah, Philadelphia was exceptionally dominant in this game. 509 yards of total offense. The Arizona's 206. Philly scored every time they were in the red zone. 6 for 6, 3 touchdowns, 3 field goals. Turnovers, Arizona only had the one turnover. Arizona ran 46 plays, and Philadelphia ran 69. And time of possession was, let's see here, where is that time? Oh, yeah. When you have the ball for 39 minutes and 25 seconds, you're probably going to win some ball games. Let's look at the player stats, and we'll get a better gauge as to what happened. LaShawn McCoy, what a game he had. 29 carries, 252 yards, running wild on that Arizona defense. I keep wanting to call them the Phoenix Cardinals. McKinnon led all tacklers with 10 for the Cardinals, and this looked like blowout city. 30-10, Phoenix, not Phoenix, see, there was that Phoenix I was fearing was going to come up. Philadelphia goes to 4-5, and Arizona will fall to 1-8. So the second of the four games, featuring two losing teams right now, is going to be Pittsburgh and Buffalo. Up in Buffalo, and it was Buffalo winning 37-24. I would call this a little bit of a surprise. And we'll go through the scoring first. It was a close game for a little bit in the first half. It was 14-14 at one point, and then Buffalo, Jim Kelly pass to Andre Reed, an O.J. Simpson touchdown run, and a couple of Ryan Lindell field goals. They really poured it on and won 37-24. And Buffalo, again, a prodigious amount of net yardage, 542 yards, scored every time they were in the red zone. 16 penalties in the game, and time of possession was about even. Pittsburgh ran 66 plays, Buffalo ran 69. And let's look at the player stats. O.J. Simpson had a great game. Kablitsky, the fullback from the old AAFC Buffalo Bills, did not have a bad game either. 10 carries, 83 yards. Bettis threw a pass in the game, which is kind of interesting. And O.J. Simpson threw 3 halfback passes. And let's look at the defensive stats. Jones for Buffalo had 11 sacks. Clemens had 11 tackles. Clemens had 2 sacks. And that was it. 37-24. Buffalo beats Pittsburgh. And now both teams are 3-6. McCoy was the player of the game in the Philadelphia game. Jim Kelly, the player of the game in the Buffalo game. So, I'm quickly scanning the schedule here, making sure I am not missing any of these games we do automatically. The next game will be Atlanta and Chicago that we will automatically do. And the winner there was Chicago, 23-17. Chicago gave Green Bay all they could handle last week in that 16-13 overtime loss, and they prevailed this time. Let's look at the scoring first, then we'll come back to the player stats. A close game most of the way. Atlanta cut it to 2017 late with a Matt Ryan 38-yard pass to Roddy White. But Gould kicked 3 field goals, and that wound up being the difference, 23-17. We'll look at the team stats. About even. Atlanta perfect in the red zone. 17 penalties in the game. And let's see, what was the weather like in Buffalo, I'm wondering. It was 46 and calm. And let's see. 17 penalties, 6 turnovers, so it was a sloppily played game. Atlanta ran 55 plays, Chicago 72. They held the ball 35-25 on the clock. And let's see what else happened. Let's look at the player stats. Orton, not a great game, 10 out of 26. Didn't look, Walter Payton had 190 yards rushing on 36 carries. And we will look defensively. Jesse Tuggle had 16 tackles for the Falcons. And that was about it. Final was 23-17. Let's look real fast at the weather conditions in Philadelphia and in Buffalo for their games. Philadelphia, they had 45-degree conditions and a little bit of a wind. Buffalo, imagine the weather in Buffalo would be kind of bad in November, and they had 42 degrees and a bit of a breeze at 10 to 20. So we now look at the last of the games featuring both teams with losing records. It's going to be Jacksonville and Los Angeles. Let's see who won that. It was Las Vegas, 41-17 over Jacksonville. And Las Vegas is now 4-5 on the year. Game was played inside the Dome at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. And as I record this, tomorrow, the 21st of September, they will be hosting their first ever NFL game on Monday Night Football against the Saints. You're seeing this on the 28th of September, and I'm recording this on the 20th of September. So that's a little inside baseball of how I do what I do. Wild scoring shootout in the second quarter, 38 points by both teams. It was 3-0 Vegas after a half, then 24-17 they led, 31-17 after the third, and 41-17 after the fourth. Wendell Tyler had 3 touchdown runs. Brody threw at least a couple of TD passes I'm seeing here to Ertz and to Burtis. Stover with a couple of field goals. Let's look at the team stats. 471 yards of total offense for Las Vegas, and they have the offense to put it up. Perfect in the red zone. Four touchdowns, 1 field goal, and 5 trips. They held the ball 40 minutes and 38 seconds, which will win you a few ball games. 14 penalties in the game. Jacksonville only ran 54 plays to Vegas's 77. Jacksonville was 16 first downs to Vegas's 26. 5 turnovers in the game. Jacksonville had 3. Vegas had 2. So we look at the player stats. Wendell Tyler had a 101-yard passing effort. Brody, 21 for 32, 263 yards, 2 picks, and 2 touchdowns. Zach Ertz, the Vegas tight end, who played for the Eagles, had a big day. He had 11 catches, 142 yards. I always like to look at the leading tacklers. Smith for Jacksonville had 15 tackles. Player in the game was Wendell Tyler. And for the Atlanta-Chicago game, Walter Payton was the player of the game. So there you have it, the 4 games that took place between losing teams, and we will do this again next week. And in all the weeks up until the end of the regular season, week number 17, it's a 17-week season, 16 games, every team gets a bye. So coming up for you, the next 3 games you're going to see on this Big Paulie's World of Sports Sims channels and the Hometown Football League. It's 7 o'clock. If you're catching this at 6:30, we'll have for you in a few minutes the Detroit-Cleveland game. Detroit at Cleveland, 7 o'clock. Then tomorrow night, Denver and Carolina. We'll settle the debate of which of these 2 teams is better on the HTFL field. That will be at 7 also. All the action this week starts at 7. And on Friday, we'll have a double header for you, beginning at 7, and then the second game will be at 9. Wednesday, it's San Diego at New England, 7 o'clock. Minnesota-Miami will be the Thursday game, and then on Friday night, Los Angeles travels to Tennessee, and Washington goes to Houston. So that's been the recap show for this week. I hope you enjoyed it. Enjoyed putting it together for you. This has been Big Paulie coming to you. We wish you well no matter where you are and no matter where you may be. Godspeed and God bless. And off to the games this week. Bye-bye for now, everybody.